Do you want to know how to make the most perfect, the best, most delicious flank steak you have ever had? Well, you have definitely found the right channel, so go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell because I come out with new videos every week and that way you will be notified. And today we are doing perfect flank steak and we're doing it sous vide. And don't let that scare you off because it is so much easier than most people think, and you can do the entire steak indoors, or if you prefer, you can finish it outdoors on your grill, and the results are perfect every single time. Welcome to the Spicy Apron Cooking Show. Today we are doing sous vide flank steak, and that is because my goal is to show you the easiest ways to get the best results in your kitchen, and there is nothing easier or better than sous vide, particularly when it comes to steaks and especially flank steaks. So stay tuned because I've got a download that I've got for you that you're going to want because it'll help you with all kinds of things sous vide. But in the meantime, would you look at this flank steak? Oh my gosh, it is just beautiful. Now this is a 2.5 pound flank steak. Often in the store, you will get them half this size. So if yours is half that size, that's totally fine. It will not change the cooking temperature or time, but this is just gorgeous. And I'm going to show you how I prepare it for sous vide and cook it and then finish it at the end, and you will have this fabulous flank steak out on your table in no time at all. I have been a long time fan of flank steaks. I remember my dad grilling them when I was a kid. The smell, it's wonderful. The taste is even better. The problem with just doing meat on the grill is that it's a little hard to get it right all of the time because parts of it are thick, parts are thin, sometimes it's slightly overcooked and sometimes it's slightly undercooked, and that is why we love sous vide. Now, I love to score the flank steak against the grain just a little bit. If you look, I just cut in against the grain a little tiny slice. I do this in big, long strips, and then I do the other side. And the reason I do this is because that way the seasonings have an easier time getting deep into the meat. So score both sides, if you can see that. It's just a little bit, maybe 1/4 inch scored. And then we are going to season it. Okay, as with most things sous vide, it does not require a ton of seasonings because the beautiful thing about sous vide cooking is that what you really get is the flavor of the meat. Oh my God, it's so wonderful. But I do a fair amount of fresh cracked pepper. The full recipe link is below in the description box, so go ahead and click on that link and you'll get to the full recipe. It is also at thespicyapron.com. And of course, after my ground pepper, I just do quite a bit of coarse salt. Do this to both sides, and then I'm going to show you how to prep it in the bag for sous vide, and I'm going to talk about both methods that people use. If you're watching this video, you probably have a pretty good idea of what sous vide cooking is, but for those of you who are new here or just considering it, the simplified version is sous vide is a way to cook foods to the perfect temperature, and you do that by submerging the food in an airtight bag in a very specific temperature for a certain length of time, and that way the food gets cooked perfectly end to end, edge to edge, all the way through. It is fabulous. The results are perfect. You're probably gonna get sick of hearing me say perfect, but that is absolutely what it is. So I did this video up here with some sous vide burgers that give a little bit more detail about sous vide cooking and what it is. Now, in order to get the air out of your bag, there are a couple of ways to do this. Number one, you can use a vacuum sealer, which I do all the time. You've probably seen them in stores. Food Saver is one brand, that's the one I have. It's like 15 years old, still works great. So you put the food in the vacuum seal bag and pull all of the air out, and then you've got an airtight bag. Now, if you don't have a vacuum sealer, it's totally fine. There's another way to do it. It's called the water displacement method. I think something about Archimedes' principle, but that is what I'm going to do today. And I get a lot of comments about, should we do vacuum seal? Should we do water displacement? I would love to hear from you guys which one you prefer. That is my comment question for the day. Put down in the comments, do you prefer vacuum seal or water displacement method? I'm going to show you how to do this. All you do is put your food in a Ziploc bag. And no, this is not an ad for Ziploc. But go ahead and put it in. And what you do is I have this fully zipped to about right here. The purpose is to get as much air out of the bag as possible because you don't want the food floating while it's cooking. Now, this is a water bath. It is not hot yet. It's just regular water. Then I'm going to heat it up to cook the food. But to get the air out, you do this step first. So have half your bag zipped up and you place it in the water and you do it down at the corner. Just place it down. And as if you notice, as you push down, the air will start coming out of the bag. So you do it carefully because you do not want that water seeping into the bag. And as you go, zip it just a little bit more. So now I'm up to here and I'm going to press the bag down even more. And that air is just coming out. And I zip it just a little bit more all the way down. Be careful and get right to the end and go underneath as much as you can. Push all that air out and then zip the very corner. So if you look, you know, that's pretty good. That is pretty darn airtight. So I choose to do the displacement method when I'm doing meats that don't take a really long amount of time. This takes 90 minutes. I just did, ooh, you should check it out. This corned beef, to die for. That was 48 hours. I did vacuum seal that. Because of the length of time, I would rather it be fully 100% free of air. But with meats that don't take all that long or fish, I will do the water displacement method. Now, the other time that I will always do vacuum seal is when I am doing vegetables because they tend to expel a little bit of gas as they're cooking, which can cause it to float. So that is my theory on water displacement versus vacuum seal, but I can't wait to read your comments. Okay, you can hear it whirring around. Of course, that is what your sous vide circulator does. You put it in the water, it heats it up, it keeps it circulating so the entire water bath is the exact same temperature. In this case, I like my flank steak medium rare, so I do 131 degrees for 90 minutes. Now, if you like medium, then bump up the temperature. Do 136, 137. If you like well done, then you probably shouldn't even be watching my show. No, I'm kidding. Totally your choice, but bump it up even more in temperature. Okay, so here is my vacuum sealed, and I say that knowing I use a water displacement method, blank steak. It is going in my 131 degrees. Oh, and by the way, that water is hot, so, you know, be careful. Also, please put a trivet or a hot pad or something underneath your vessel because it is warm. It can damage your countertops. So go ahead and sink that steak to the bottom. You can just clip it to the side so it doesn't float around and leave it in there for 90 minutes. And then we're gonna put a beautiful sear on the outside and you are done with the most perfect flank steak you will ever have. All right, guys, piece of cake. The 90 minutes is up. Gonna remove it from the water bath and then I'm going to show you how I like to finish off the flank steak. If you look here, it is perfectly cooked, perfectly done, medium rare, 131 degrees. I am going to finish it off in a hot skillet. You certainly can finish it off on a grill if you prefer, or quite honestly, it doesn't even really need it, but it does add that extra just burst of flavor and texture that is going to make this the best flank steak you have ever had. Okay, so this is where that flank steak goes to the next level. I'm going to sear it in really butter, salt, and pepper on a really hot pan. And speaking of pans, you guys, I really love this stainless steel Mealthy pan. It's perfect for quick and easy searing. Of course, cast iron is always fabulous, but this pan, which is actually relatively inexpensive, does a fantastic job. So I will put a link to that below. Also, I do have that free download I told you about. It's got all kinds of times and temperatures for your sous vide cooking for beef and chicken and all kinds of stuff. So that link is also below. It's free. Just go ahead and click on it. It will go to your inbox. Now, my pan is heating up and there are 2 secrets to making sure you get that perfect sear on your sous vide steaks. Number 1, pat your steak dry. When it comes out of the sous vide bath, you want it really, really dry on the outside because that'll allow you to get a really, really nice sear. Now, this is still heating, which that is tip number 2, so I'm not gonna quite put it in yet. You want this pan to get as hot as it can, smoking hot, without burning your kitchen down. So let's let this heat up, and then I'm gonna throw the steaks in. And a little bonus tip that I do once the butter is nice and melted in there while it's still heating up, I actually like to sprinkle salt and pepper directly in the pan, and then I'll put the steaks in there and salt and pepper the backside of them. Okay, searing hot, smoking hot pan. Let's put that flank steak in there. And you only want to do it 1 to maybe 2 minutes per side. You most definitely do not want to overcook that perfectly cooked flank steak. I say it all the time. I wish we had Smell TV, that butter on this flank steak, which feels absolutely perfect. It's the beautiful thing about sous vide, edge to edge, 131 degrees, perfectly medium rare. Now, I'm sure you guys know this, but please, when you cut meats, make sure you cut against the grain, not with the grain. Flank steak, I like to cut at a little bit of an angle, and would you guys just look at that? Well, let me make sure I've got it at the right camera level so you can actually see how perfect this flank steak is. It is most definitely something that I serve quite often. I particularly love serving it when I have a crowd because it's easy to do a lot of beef for a bunch of people. So let me just pick this piece up and show you. Is that not perfect? Perfect medium rare flank steak. Again, make sure you grab that download of free sous vide times and temperatures. I love it medium rare, so 131 degrees for 90 minutes is perfect for me. I am definitely going to taste it. It's fabulous. It's perfect. Thank you for joining me on the Spicy Apron Cooking Show. If you liked this video and you hope to give flank steak a try, please give it a thumbs up. And happy cooking and happy meat eating. And I will see you next time.